Welcome back, guys. This is part 2 of If I Ran for President. So we left off at government corruption. This might actually be one of my biggest priorities, I would push for comprehensive government transparency. Every major government expenditure, every federal contract, every agency budget, every major recipient of public money. I'd make that information easily searchable online. Um, I would require elected officials and senior government employees to publicly disclose assets, gifts, financial interests, potential conflicts of interest. We would ban elected officials from trading individual stocks based on non public information, and we would impose extremely strict conflict of interest rules. We would also pursue major campaign finance reform and close dark money loopholes. Um, you know, I also kind of want to fundamentally restructure lobbying. There is a difference between citizens petitioning their government and then corporations essentially purchasing access to policy makers. And so, we would establish an independent federal ethics and anti corruption body with genuine investigative authority and safeguards against public or political interference. And that authority would apply to me as well, especially me. We would expand online government services so that ordinary people don't have to navigate 10 different bureaucracies to get something they're legally entitled to receive. We would modernize federal agencies, make government records easier to access. We would require agencies to explain where taxpayer money is going. We would establish stronger protections for federal whistleblowers. Federal employees would also receive fair compensation. Elected officials shouldn't be able to casually give themselves whatever raises they want. And government shouldn't be a black box. So if taxpayers are paying for it, taxpayers should be able to see what they're paying for. I would redirect federal priorities toward education, healthcare, infrastructure, poverty reduction, scientific research, housing, childcare, and other safety net programs. That doesn't mean eliminating national defense because we do still need a military, I guess. But the question should be how much defense spending actually makes America safer and how much is simply spending because that's what we've always done. That's why my plan would combine spending reforms with new revenue and healthcare savings rather than pretending cutting one department solves anything. And yes, I would fight Congress. I would not allow either political party to simply stonewall everything because the idea came from the other side, or it conflicts with their fundamental belief or whatever. But I also wouldn't try to bypass the Constitution. If Congress blocks legislation, I would take the fight directly to the American people. I would explain exactly what the bill does, publish the votes, I would publish the arguments. I'd invite Republicans and Democrats and independents to propose amendments. And then I'd ask the public, do you support this? If the answer is yes, I'd use every lawful political tool available to pressure Congress to act. Democracy isn't supposed to mean you elected me, but now I get to ignore you. Now, would every one of these ideas work exactly as I've described? Probably not. Some would need to be modified. Some would need to be phased in. Some would probably fail, and some would probably have consequences nobody anticipated. That's why I would want, economists, scientists, doctors, engineers, teachers, workers, small business owners, civil rights experts, constitutional scholars, and ordinary Americans involved in designing the actual legislation. But the basic philosophy is simple, and it's that government should make people's lives better. It shouldn't be a living hell. And you should be able to afford health care. You should be able to afford to live. You should have time to actually live your life. You should be able to trust that your government isn't stealing from you. You should be able to see that where your tax dollars are going. And being born poor shouldn't mean that you're destined to stay poor. So would I run? I don't know. But if enough Americans actually wanted somebody to try something radically different, I would seriously consider it. Because, maybe the question isn't, can we afford to change America? Maybe the question is, what kind of America are we willing to build? And so, yeah, I haven't addressed every issue in this video, but those are like some starting points. But yeah, so thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye, guys.